What is going on to all my MCU fans out there, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are here to discuss a new special presentation brought to us exclusively by Disney Plus by the name of Werewolf by Night that poses this question. Now, we all know of the heroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but what about the darkness and the supernatural, and more importantly, what about those monsters? Well, we'll be discussing that and so much more in today's spoiler-free review. But before we get into it, if you all haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all my MCU content. You can also give your boy a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All those links can be found in the description of this video. But speaking of this video, it would mean the world to me if you all can give this video a thumbs up as well as share it. I would really appreciate the support. But more importantly, let's talk Werewolf by Night in those comments. Let me know, number one, if you were excited for this project, and number two, once you've seen it, let's talk about it. From your pros, your cons, your thoughts on the direction, the cinematography, the score, the performances. Were you surprised by how gory it got, or were you disappointed? And more importantly, since we're talking MCU and we know we're wrapping up Phase 4 with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, where does Werewolf by Night land on your personal rankings for Phase 4? Is it somewhere up the top? Is it somewhere in the middle? Is it at the bottom? Let's talk about it in the comments below. So listen, first things first, from the traditional MCU title sequence transitioning into this throwback Universal Monsters title sequence, and then when the score hit, your boy was hooked. And one word that I would use to describe this special project is simplicity. One of my favorite horror films of all time is 1978's Halloween for many different reasons, but one of those reasons is it was simple. And Werewolf by Night doesn't try to over-explain things. It's not trying to be anything else in the MCU, and it's simple. Just from the simple premise of this project, you have a group of elite monster hunters who are attending USC's Bloodstone's funeral, and a very important relic is up for grabs, and these hunters must hunt a monster to obtain it. One location, very few characters, simple, y'all. And kind of transitioning into talking about those very few characters, let's start off by talking about Harriet, Sansom Harris, who plays Ulysses' Willow wife. She adds a little bit of that campiness that you all can expect from this project, and she could be a little bit over the top, but her over the topness and her campiness fits perfectly within the tone that we get here with this project. I really enjoyed her performance and had a good time with her. But we gotta talk about introducing to the Marvel Cinematic Universe Gael García Bernal, who plays Jack Russell. I cannot stress enough how perfect he is in his role. Incredibly charming, and he is just immediately, once he touches the screen, you want to know more about him, you want to see more of him, and I just thought that he was just so fantastic in the role. But we can't talk about Jack Russell without talking about his alter ego, and that's right, we're talking about the werewolf. And thank God they decided to go with the practical route when it comes to the werewolf design. And when it comes to this beast, y'all, it is vicious, it is relentless, it is a savage, especially when it's in hunting mode. And I can't tell y'all enough, I loved every single second of seeing this beast. And kind of getting more into the minutia of the werewolf, the duality between Jack and the wolf is something that we've been lacking with the Hulk in the MCU currently. And you feel for him, and because you know that this werewolf is capable of terrible things, and I just love that we get a taste of how he kind of handles this duality and this kind of Jekyll and Hyde personality and the transformation. I loved it. I love the transformation of him becoming a werewolf. And again, I can't wait to see more of this character. And this brings me to a very special character. Now, I got to say this now. Yelena, Kate Bishop, Shang-Chi, some of my favorite new characters that we've gotten, and there's been others in the MCU, but those are some that come to mind. Go ahead and scoot over and make some room for one of my new favorite characters of Phase 4, and I'm talking about Laura Donnelly as Elsa Bloodstone. She is my new best friend monster hunter. I swear to you all, the second she popped up on screen, I immediately loved her presence, how she spoke, how her swagger just exuded off her. She kind of reminds me, for my DC fans, I'm a big DC fan, she kind of reminds me a little bit of Constantine with her own flavor, of course, but man, I'm telling you all, she kicks some ass. She has that swag, and I am a big fan of her. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to Jack, when it comes to Elsa, they will be very important characters in the MCU moving forward, and I can't wait to see them again. But I also got to talk about maybe possibly the MVP. I think this is a character that a lot of us will be talking about, including myself and you all, and that is the Man-Thing, who I would kind of say is like, if you want to compare it to MCU characters, kind of an older version of Groot, but with the abilities to completely decimate their enemies with a simple touch. And I'm telling y'all, Man-Thing has some of the best moments in this project. Very shout out to Man-Thing. Very excited to see what they do with him moving forward. But we got to talk about the man behind the camera, and that is Michael Giacchino, who has been one of my favorite composers since 2004's Incredibles. I'm going to need him to usher in more of these monsters and the supernatural elements in the MCU, because his direction, chef's kiss. It was absolutely fantastic. The swings he takes in and has such a payoff with tenfold. The use of black and white has some flair to this project. The pacing is perfect. Shot selections, and of course the score is phenomenal, y'all. I'm telling you, the score is so haunting when it needs to be. It is vibrant. It just feels perfect what's going on screen. And now we got to kind of talk about the gore factor, right? Is it scary? Is it terrifying? I don't think it's all that stuff, because if you all have been part of this community, you know I love horror, and I'm very desensitized towards horror things. But I gotta admit, man, I really enjoyed the gore factor that we got here. Now, to be fair, this is high gore for the MCU standards, but it's also kind of pushing the envelope a little bit when it comes to the PG-13 rating. And I say that because, listen, there is blood splatter that is legit having people's throats and arms and limbs being torn off. For example, and I won't give you any more context, but there's a moment when someone has a sword, slits someone's throat, and puts that sword into their head and splits their head. And listen, the cool thing about it is, they don't cut away. They show you what happens. So I appreciate that as a horror fan, and I'm very excited to see more of this gore, more of this mature nature in the MCU. And then speaking of the MCU, I can also say that it's truly a self-contained project with very little ties to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, without the opening title sequence, I honestly think a lot of people wouldn't even know it's the Marvel project, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I was happy with it being a vacuum solo project. So we talked about my pros. We got to get into these criticisms here, and I'll be honest with you all, I don't really have a lot of criticism. Now, of course, I would have loved to have gotten 20 more minutes of exploring these hunters and Bloodstone's family line, especially Jack's family history. And of course, like I mentioned, I'm a fan of horror, so of course I would have loved to have gotten more gore, more thrills, more chills. But honestly, those are kind of minor things for me, because I think the good outweighs the bad. One more thing I want to mention, I briefly talk about how I did enjoy that this is like a solo Marvel project without many MCU ties. But then there's the other MCU side of me, being an MCU fan, following these projects since 2008 Iron Man. Of course I have questions. Where were these characters during certain events? How many other monsters are in this world? You know, so on and so forth. So of course that MCUism in me is just kind of like, okay, timeline, all that different stuff kind of comes up. But again, very minor things, and I would anticipate that we will get those answers as the time goes by, because this project doesn't really elaborate on some of those things. But listen, before I give you all my overall thoughts and give you my score and let you know if it's worth checking out, if you're still here in this video, I appreciate you. Just a friendly reminder to give this video a like, share, comment, subscribe. With all that being said, overall, Werewolf by Night is what I want to see more in the MCU. It's incredibly creative, has unexpected violence and gore for MCU standards, like I had mentioned, but it's also very refreshing to see this more mature nature of the side of the MCU. 100% a throwback to the old school Universal monsters, and Michael Giacchino has crafted something what I consider to be a must-see project in this spooky season. So many amazing creative choices that are just flowing throughout this project. Again, from the black and white aesthetic, the impeccable lighting, the score. Listen, Marvel, please give Michael Giacchino more projects to do. And then lastly, like I had mentioned, as far as these performances go, Gael as Jack Russell is nothing short of perfection, and I love Elsa, and I cannot wait to get more of these characters, and I can't wait to see Man-Thing again. With all that being said, I'm going to give Werewolf by Night a 4.5 out of 5. It is all treat, no trick, and I would love to get more of these special presentations by Disney+, and we know the next one will be this Christmas with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So listen, listen, you heard it here first. You're gonna want to go see this on Disney Plus on October 7th. I loved it, and I can't wait to see more of these characters. So hey, that's my thoughts, my pros, my cons. Definitely want to give it a watch, and when you do, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Again, your pros, your cons, favorite moments, least favorite moments. Where do you rank this as far as MCU Phase 4? For me, it's up there. It's probably top 3 for me as far as Phase 4 so far. So creative, so much fun, and I loved it. But hey, let me know your thoughts again in the comments. Again, just a friendly reminder, as you can see on the screen now, before you all leave, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my other future MCU content. If you all are still here watching this review, number one, I appreciate you. To show that you're still here, why don't you go ahead and put the werewolf emoji in the comments. I appreciate you all. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you enjoyed today's content. Make sure you hit this button. Check out my other MCU content. Check out my most recent breakdown, and we'll catch you all on the next episode.